Erev Tov, everyone. It is Monday night. It is 8 p.m. here on the east side of the United States, here in the diaspora. This is the House of Seven Beggars, therefore it must be the Old Rabbis Discuss whatever it is that we want to discuss. This week, our discussion is going to be on the difference between Ashkenazi and Sephardic customs and practices. And this week we're going to cover the differences regarding Pesach, which is coming up real soon. Let me bring on my partner, and we'll do that one first. Okay, and then we'll unmute his mic here for him. And you are on.
Shalom, everybody. Good evening. This evening, we are going to be discussing mostly the Sephardic traditions because there are a lot of them and they're beautiful. Pesach customs and traditions for Sephardics, they reflect a rich and exotic Jewish culture that flourished for many centuries on the Iberian Peninsula in Spain, Portugal. From the exotic and delicious cuisine to the music, to the colorful customs practiced at Passover, makes it the traditions for Sephardi a fabulous experience. Sephardi Passover customs and tradition can vary from region to region, country to country, city to city, community to community, and yet also family to family. Many Sephardi customs and traditions involve assimilating Passover rituals with the culinary, musical, and linguistic traditions of the surrounding people in the areas where Sephardi live. So let's look at the first custom.
Okay, well, let's hang on for just a moment.
Okay.
Let's take a step back here, because we've been talking about Ashkenazi and Sephardic. And, a lot of people wonder where the word Sephardic comes from. And they often interpret it as that it actually means Spain. And that's not quite exactly right. The word Sephard was actually a place that was mentioned in Obadiah when he was talking about a place called Sephard. And then when Rashi and Ibn Ezra, when they were doing their interpretations, they translated that as meaning Sephard. What Obadiah was talking about was the Iberian Peninsula. So therefore, Sephardic, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, the Middle East, and it's kind of expanded from there. So I just wanted to clear that up first, that and to mention those people that are in the chat room. We have Donald, we have Simcha, and we have Colleen, Marshall, Marilyn, who I am surprised she keeps coming back the way I keep massacring French. Shlomo, or Simon, and Olga, and that pretty much catches us up for now. So, go ahead. You were.
Okay, so one of the most beautiful things in the Sephardic tradition is Passover food. Sephardic Passover dietary law permits the use of kitniot, and I will explain what they are. They include small fleshless seeds of annual plants that an individual might ground into flour and their derivatives. Examples: ascorbic acid, calcium ascorbate, caraway seeds, castor sugar, chickpeas, citric acid, corn, castor powder, dextrose, dried beans or dried peas, glucose, green beans, icing sugar, lentils, mustard, rice, sesame seeds, soya beans, soya products, starch, sunflower seeds, tofu, and their derivatives. In practice, but not all Sephardic communities eat products containing these grains and legumes and their derivatives during Passover. However, like Ashkenazi and Sefardi, it is forbidden for them to use chametz grains, which includes barley, oats, rye, spelt, and wheat during Passover festival, except when?
When you're making matzah.
Amen. Exactly. So these five grains must be used so that it simulates the situation that the Hebrews experienced when they baked their bread when they left Egypt.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if you go from region to region, some types of kinyot are accepted while others are not. Pretty much Sephardim all together eat some kind of kinyot, but to what extent they do it often differs between where they're located. Turkey, Iran, Egypt, and so on.
From region to region, from city to city, even family.
Yeah.
Uh, the difference, though, and most people don't realize that. Why do Ashkenazis do not eat kitniot? Well, basically, Ashkenazis lived in Europe. There wasn't much rice. The main food staple was potatoes. So
However,
we make potato latkes.
but however, potatoes are kitniot.
Ashkenazis, yeah, but Ashkenazis don't consider them as kitniot.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we have this, this very broad statement of kitniot,
Yeah.
but how do you define that? And then the Ashkenazim get kind of I've seen them actually get very upset,
Yes.
because the Sephardim are eating rice and stuff like that, and it's well, what are you having? Well, we're having potatoes. Well, potatoes are technically kitniot.
Correct. Yeah, but some Sephardic communities will eat rice and kitniot during Passover, but they must check them 3 times prior to Passover.
That's right.
To make sure that there are no kernels of chametz.
Yeah, I've seen
the rice,
I've seen women who would sit there and they run their rice through a sieve 3 times before Passover, and sieve it to make sure there's no chametz in it.
Yeah. And Sephardim will only use fresh legumes, not dry, unless the dried legumes were dried for the specific purpose of being used for Passover festival.
Right.
Any questions for the first one?
Not so far.
A typical Sephardic Seder might have an introductory dish called huevos haminados, which means, in Ladino, means brown eggs. These eggs are haminados. They are, how should I say, smoked. They're cooked at a low temperature in the oven, and so that they can be kept warm all night and it refers to the fact that the eggs must be cooked at a low temperature for at least 24 hours. Greek Jews call these types of eggs Symbolic Yamurta, meaning that they're from Salonika, which refers to the city of Salonika in Greece, or Yahudi Yamurta, meaning Jewish eggs. Italian Jews refer to these eggs as Turkish eggs. So these are primarily served on Shabbos lunches and for life cycle events. I know that some Sephardim, when they make a cholent for Shabbos, sometimes will put in eggs. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not.
do. We do here.
So,
Yeah. Well, and that's another point you brought up, Ladino, and a lot of people don't know that. Everybody thinks that um, um, that and the word just flipped right out of my head. Yiddish. The Yiddish is the universal language of Jews, and it actually is not. It's the universal language for European Jews back in the old days. But among the Sephardim, Ladino is actually the major language that's spoke, which is actually a combination of Spanish, Arabic, and Hebrew.
yeah.
And just like um, Yiddish, it varies from region to region. Like Yiddish for Glitzianers is different, a little bit different than they are for Litvish. Yeah, Litvax. And the same thing, the Ladino that is spoken in Spain and Portugal is different from the Ladino that's actually spoken in Morocco and Italy and
South
even
America.
more so in the Middle East, where it's very um, heavily influenced by Arabic.
So is South America. Most there's only one country that does not speak Spanish, which is Brazil. The rest of them speak Latino. What the Sephardics found out is by cooking those eggs for 24 hours, they found out that they get softer, they have a tender texture without being rubbery, as well as having a rich fragrance.
Yes.
After the huevos haminados, usually they will serve a leek soup. I don't know why leek soup, but I have not been told any other soup. Any idea why?
Why leaks? No, no. Actually, I don't know why. I know that it's kind of traditional, but why? I don't know. I mean, it's like a lot of things we do. We do them because that's the way our parents and our grandparents did it.
Okay. After the leek soup, then they serve a fish appetizer. For the main course, Sephardic will typically serve lamb or fish sprinkled with various fruits and vegetables, or and some of them that can afford it, white truffles.
Okay, now this is some. I'm going to ask you this because I had heard that uh, in the Ashkenazic world, and I'm generalizing. Okay, so the Ashkenazic world, they don't ever serve lamb on Pesach because of the Korban Pesach.
Correct.
Okay, okay. Whereas the Sephardim do actually serve lamb. I'd love to have lamb on Pesach.
With the meat, most Sephardim will accompany the meat with mimulin, which is a meat stuffed vegetable, green beans, okra, and Syrian meatballs with cherries, and Apiol, which is a sweet and sour celery. which is often is called con sanahoria, meaning with carrots. Greek Jews may serve lamb stew, usually with romaine lettuce and dill. Various rice or bean salads and soups are also served, as well as various mixed vegetable dishes with different sauces, spices like coriander, cumin, cardamom, tarragon, turmeric, ginger, mint, which is a favorite for Sephardics, fennel, basil, saffron, and the most important, chili powder.
Yeah.
Some people in the Moroccan area, they will serve artichokes, salmon, and vegetable frittatas.
Yeah, usually on our Pesach Seder, usually first night Pesach is always, we always have salmon. I mean, we always have, we just always do. And then we have something different on the second night. Usually
With
varies. The
salmon,
second
they
night
will
usually
also
varies.
serve,
It's either
I'm
lamb
sorry,
or something like that.
yeah. With the salmon, they will also serve baked okra and other favorites. For the remainder of the Seder, or for the festival weeks, Sephardi may serve stuffed lamb intestine. I don't know about that. The intestines of lamb.
Sounds
I've
like
been, but I've never seen it.
what is it that they in Scotland that they haggis? Kind
Yeah.
of sounds like haggis, doesn't it? Except it
What's
wouldn't have oatmeal in it.
yeah. What's the favorite tea served?
The favorite tea?
Yeah.
Chai?
No, but what flavor?
Uh, I don't know. We don't really use any specific flavor.
They usually serve, especially in the South, Israel, Morocco, all these, they serve a mint tea.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Should make sense.
One of the main customs for Sephardics is that Sephardim will not cook with matzah meal.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Instead, they use matzah with eggs and in dishes. Olive oil is usually used in Passover cooking.
Or pretty much just about any time.
Yeah. Moroccan Sephardim traditionally eat white truffles, French-style donuts called beignets. That is kind of strange to serve donuts on Passover.
Yeah.
They're made with matzah meal and cakes of honey, almonds, cinnamon,
Yeah.
and they call them fritters, bimuelos in Ladino. I wonder why. Well, kind of strange.
Yeah. I don't think it's like donuts and fritters as we're thinking of them. Oh, and there goes the light. One of my lights did pop on. Finally. Oh no.
Okay, so
It's like an hour and a half late, but it actually did come on. We
okay,
were before the
so
show. Before the show, I was trying to figure out why two of my lights weren't on and one of my lights was on. And okay, so we know we had some kind of an interruption in the power on those lines. So anyway, we're back up and rolling.
okay, so what does Sephardim eat for dessert?
Um, well, actually, there's quite a few things. There are a lot of things with honey.
Sponge cake,
Pardon?
sponge cake.
Sponge cake.
What else? they also make a torta de nuez, which is called a nut cake.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the Haggadah and the four questions. How did the Sephardim say the four questions?
Yeah, it's actually in a different order.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The first one says, on all other nights we do not dip even once, but on this night we dip twice. Why?
yeah.
The number two is, on all other nights we eat bread or matzah, but this night we eat only matzah. Why? The third one, with all other nights we eat all kinds of herbs, but on this night we eat only maror. And the fourth one is, on all other nights we eat either sitting or reclining, but on this night we eat only in the reclining position. The Sephardic custom is to have all participants of the Passover Seder, they chanting the four questions. A lot of the
because
a lot of the traditions,
nobody wants to be the wicked child.
Yeah, a lot of the traditions, the Sephardic traditions, most of the holidays, which is different to Ashkenazi, they sing. They love their tradition to sing. Sometimes Ashkenazim are boring.
Yeah, well, some of the other customs, when we get into them, they'll see that, Pesach can be a very rowdy festival.
Well, you get the children involved. You know, it's a family affair, and that's the best way because children learn from their parents,
Yeah.
and it goes from generation to generation, and traditions remain traditions. Okay, what are Passover symbolic foods?
Yeah, now they're basically the same as the Ashkenaz as far as karpas, maror, and kazret. But how the Sephardic use them is a little bit different.
Sephardim, they use the celery
Right.
leaves, parsley, or boiled potato for karpas, and romaine lettuce or another herb for maror. The celery leaves are dipped in either salt water, vinegar, lemon juice, or lime juice, depending on the custom of one's community.
Yeah, now we always used either salt water or vinegar for years, but now I really like the idea of using lemon or lime juice. I may incorporate that.
But the carcass vegetable should not be the same type
Right.
vegetable as the maror. And the strangest thing is that the Sephardi use a second bitter vegetable called
Is that it?
chatzeret. Yeah, as part of the symbolic foods of Passover. Instead of the Ashkenazi preference is what?
Horseradish.
Horseradish.
Yeah. We still do
That
use
one of the bitter herbs.
yeah, we actually do use the
Asperol or enda.
we actually do use horseradish here as our second one. But we actually make it ourselves. I make it myself. I grind it myself.
Yeah.
So I don't buy that stuff out of the jar.
Very potent.
Yeah. I want it to open my sinuses and I want to cry. and my neighbor next to us, he always loves it at Passover because usually if you grind a horseradish root, it actually makes quite a bit. Usually makes about a pint of horseradish, and once I've had mine during the Seder, I'm done. I don't need any more. I don't want any more. So I usually take it over to him, and he just loves it.
I remember my grandmother used to go in the backyard, in the garden. She used to pull out the roots of the horseradish, and she used to grind it down. You just have to smell it, you pass out.
Yeah. Yeah, we
One of
do
the
the
Passover
same thing.
symbolic
We grow our
foods.
own horseradish here.
The basic is haroset, the recipe of honey, wine, nuts, fruit, and spices is common to all Sephardi. However, Sephardi families will use a variety of ingredients that reflect their cuisines and their country or community or what is available in their community to make the haroset. I know my mother and my grandmother, may they rest in peace, they used to add wine
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to the haroset. That's the
So
Ashkenazi.
what's a typical Ashkenazi haroset made from?
It was um, it was wine, nuts, and fruits.
Okay, so ours we make ours. I make my own. So we have figs, we have dates, we have apricots, we have oranges, we have honey, and wine. Oh yeah, you gotta have wine.
Sorry, I have to close the window. It's pouring.
Ah, so actually, and then
So,
I put mine through a food processor, and I get it very fine. I get it down to the point that it's almost like mortar. And there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that as we go along.
okay. The second recipe is used by you, Sephardic, which is it's a combination of crushed, chopped, of boiled dates,
Yeah.
figs, chestnut paste, raisin, pomegranates, apricots, or oranges. Chopped pistachio nuts, chopped walnuts might be used
Mm-hmm.
as another ingredient, and spices such as cinnamon. Other harosa combinations include the use of dates, honey, known as halak, or mixing figs, apples, nuts, cinnamon, and wine. So therefore, haroset and Passover have so many different varieties depending actually on the family, on the city, and actually most important, whatever is available.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually it's whatever happens to be available in the region. So that's basically how you're going to get your haroset. Fortunately for us, we live in a country where we can pretty much get just about whatever we want. So we can go nuts.
You said you were going to explain something.
Well, I want to wait until we get to that point, until we're actually getting into the Seder, and I'll wait. I'll wait, and then I'll go into the
Okay.
explanation why I make my haroset the way I do.
Okay. The Passover Haggadah for Sephardim is recited using both the local language and Hebrew,
Right.
or on the Sephardic dialect known as Ladino, which is primarily a mixture of Hebrew and of Judeo Arabic of the 14th and 15th century Spanish, or by using a combination of Latino and the local language or Hebrew, depending on the community.
Right. Rather than just droning through with just the Hebrew.
Yeah. To reenact the Exodus from Egypt, it happens when they break the middle matzah
Right.
and they recite Halach we were the slaves in Egypt. In the Passover Seder of the Magi, or in the middle of the reciting Halach most Sephardim, except for Spanish Portuguese Sephardim, reenact the Exodus from Egypt. The afikoman is tied in a large napkin.
Yeah,
To
this. I
the
want people.
Passover table.
Hang on, I want people to pay attention to this because I think this is just such a fantastic uh, addition to Pesach that people
Uh,
should really consider adding it to their Pesach if they don't already do it. So go ahead.
so it was given to one of the children, the Passover Seder, and then the child slings the napkin over his or her shoulders. So then the leader of the Passover Seder then asks a series of 3 questions to the child. From where have you come?
Mm-hmm.
And he will answer, I've come from Egypt. The Passover Seder then asks, where are you going? The child answers, I'm going to
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. Finally, the Passover Seder leader asks, what are you taking with you? The child points to the sack of napkin full of matzah. There's many variations that are performed by the Sephardic or Egyptian Jews, where not just a child is given the chance to reenact the Passover story and be asked a question, but each person at the Passover table will take turns reenacting the Exodus of Egypt.
Yeah, the Egyptians really have a really interesting take on that too.
The Ashkenazis, I remember my father used to break a piece of matzah and then he would go to wash his hands and we would steal the matzah and we would hide it. And when he came back and he was looking for it, we would say, what are you going to buy us? What are you going to give us?
Have to ransom it because you can't complete the Seder until you have the Afikomen.
Correct.
So, yeah, but the Egyptians have a real interesting variation on what the Sephardic do about giving the child the matzah in a napkin and putting it over their shoulder. The Egyptians actually they actually only ask 2 questions, and when the questions are asked, the person actually changes how they're holding the matzah. So when they're asked, where are you going? And it doesn't have to be children; it can be adults too. In fact, some cases everybody gets to do it. So when the person who's leading the seder says, gives them they take the matzah and they throw it over their right shoulder, and they says, where are you going, or where are you coming from? And they say Mizraim. And when he says, where are you going? He flips the Afikomen over to the other side, or the matzah over to the other shoulder, and says Yerushalayim.
Well, Egyptian Sephardics will first sling the napkin of matzah over their right shoulder and then ask by the leader of Passover Seder, where are you from? He will say Egypt. Where are you going? The person slings the napkin of matzah on the left shoulder. It says Jerusalem. There's another variation of the Exodus, but it comes from Iraq and Kurdistan. Sephardic, Iraqi, and Kurdistani Jews will begin the Passover Seder by reenacting the Exodus from Egypt in a dramatic fashion. A child will go outside the house and then knock on the door to the house. The Passover Seder leader will then ask the child a series of questions mentioned before. Where are you from? Where are you going? And what are you taking with you? After answering these questions, the child will then recite the 4 questions to open the Passover Seder. There are other slightly different variations of this reenactment. Sephardic communities, North African Sephardi will have the Seder leader leave the room and return with a walking stick and the Apricots and a cloth on his shoulder. The children will then ask the Seder leader, where are you coming from? And the Seder leader will then proceed to tell them the story of the Exodus from Egypt. Yemenite Jews will conduct the reenactment of this Exodus from Egypt by having a Seder leader throw a bag with the Apricots matzah in it over his shoulder like a knapsack, and then circles the table while leaning on a cane. As the Seder leader walks around the room, he tells everyone at the Passover table about his experiences and the miracles he witnessed as he came forth from Egypt. Finally, the Eastern Judeo-Spanish ritual, Turkish and Greek Sephardi, or Judeo-Spanish descent, the Seder leader will leave the room, then return with a walking stick and the Apricots in a sack or cloth over his shoulder, along with a tightened belt. The children would then ask the same questions. Sephardic Passover customs and traditions. Participants at a Sephardic Persian or Iranian Passover service will simultaneously chant the Passover song, Dayenu, and hold bunches of either celery, chives, leeks, or scallions in their hands, and lightly beat each other on the back of the shoulders to symbolize the sting generated by the whip of the Egyptian taskmaster.
Okay, so here is where I wanted to get into why I make my haroset the way I do. And those of you who have seen our Passover Seder know that we do have seen us do this, and we actually at that part of the Seder where we're talking about the Exodus, we take matzah, because I always buy a bunch of the cracker matzah. The stuff that we actually use for the Seder is actually homemade, but the store-bought matzah, the cracker stuff, we'll usually take a bunch of that, we'll break it up onto a plate into pieces, and then we pass it around from person to person, and as each person takes a piece of matzah and puts some haroset on it, and then puts another piece of matzah on it, while the person next to them is whipping them with a scallion, telling them to hurry, 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 hurry. So when that person is done, then it goes to the next person, and they add another piece of, more haroset, more matzah on it, until everybody at the table has actually completed this, and everybody has had a chance to whip each other, and everybody's had a chance to actually, we finish with a built fortified city, just as it says in the Haggadah in the Torah.
We do the same thing, except no beatings.
The beating is the fun part. I mean, people really get into it. Yes. And it's a scallion. I mean, how much can you hurt somebody with a scallion? So usually you go through 2 or 3 scallions at a Passover Seder, because people kind of get a little carried away with it. But yeah, I love doing that. It's one of the great. I've seen Sephardic Seders where they really get into that and really just kind of get really crazy with it.
It is amazing how different it is from country to country, from region to region, from city to city, town to town, and even families that have learned from their parents, from their grandparents, from generation to generation. Yet all of them have the same meaning. How the Israelites got out of Egypt.
One thing we didn't mention was the custom of which I think is primarily from Iran, I think, where the leader of the Seder will take the Seder plate around over and put it over top of each person's head at the Seder, and say, "Today you're free."
I'm getting to that.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to step on you.
It's no problem. So let's talk about the Passover plate. Moroccan Sephardic Jews will hold the Passover plate aloft and pass it over the heads of all those at the table, while announcing to each participant that they have left Egypt and now you are free. It's okay. In Tunis, the Sephardic Jews followed a similar custom as the Moroccans, as I mentioned, but instead of passing the tray over the heads of each person, they touched the heads of each person, while the tray would serve as a reminder to each person that they once carried burdens upon their heads as slaves in Egypt.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I don't. Are they going to actually talk about the Seder plate and the matzah and stuff like that? Are you actually going to talk about that? The actual construction of the Seder plate?
One second. Okay, so let's probably going to come up to it.
Okay.
Many Sephardic Moroccan Jews have a bit of a ceremony when bringing in the Passover Seder plate to the Passover Seder table. They may cover the plate with either a fine piece of embroidery of the finest or in the household, while everyone at the Passover Seder sings a devotional songs about Israel. While everyone is singing, the person who brought the Passover Seder plate at the table then places the plate on the head of a child and turns it around on the child's head for all to see it.
And
The
some
10 plagues of Passover. When reciting the 10 plagues of Passover, the leader of the Sephardic Seder will spill a bit of wine from a special cup of wine into a bowl at the mention of each plague for a total of 10 spills. The leader usually will then wash his or her hands to symbolically cleanse themselves of the 10 plagues. Ashkenazis dip their small finger into the cup and sprinkle it on the plate. Sephardic families in a country such as Turkey and other Balkan countries will not even look at the wine that is spilled out of the cup when reciting each of the 10 plagues, while other Sephardic families in other countries will only permit the leader of the Passover Seder to recite the 10 plagues, lest be they poisoned or contaminated by reciting the 10 plagues. Many Sephardic Greek Jewish families will pour vinegar into a basin beside them as the 10 plagues are recited, followed by singing of Dayenu.
Now there is also another custom where the the pouring of the 10 drops of wine are actually poured into another container and then immediately taken away from the Seder table and discarded.
Okay.
But the idea of the Seder plate, now it was fairly common if the family was well to do. The plate actually sat on a stand that actually had drawers in it. So they didn't have the afikomen bag or the bag, the matzah bag that we put the three pieces in. They actually have drawers where they would actually put that in.
Sephardi, unlike Ashkenazi, usually do not hide the Apricots.
Yeah.
Also, what else they don't have
What
as the
else?
main thing? They
Um,
don't have the cup of Elijah.
oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
However, Sephardi want to protect themselves from the evil eye, and in doing so, they take the symbols of Passover food and use them as good omens for the entire year. For instance,
That's right.
Sephardim in
Still,
different
still, still got
communities,
my piece from last year.
yeah. For instance, Sephardim in different communities might save a piece of the Apricots. We used to hide it on top of the whatever was tallest, and then we would find it next year.
Yeah, the every year I keep a piece of the afikomen and I wrap it up and usually keep it in the ark.
Or some people even carry it.
Yeah, yeah. I actually heard of people carrying it.
Yeah, for protection of the evil eye.
Yeah.
Or what they do, they dip their hand in haroset to make
Oh
an
yeah.
imprint of the Hafsa hand on a sheet of paper to be hung on their door, which serves as protection against the evil eye. Sephardic Passover foods, like food served at a Sephardic Passover meal, might include lamb served as the main course with vegetable or meat, matzah pie called mina,
Mina.
aminados, eggs. We went over this.
Yeah.
Sephardim use only a single hard-boiled egg, cut it up, and then distribute the piece to each other participant at the Passover table. Ashkenazis eat an egg each.
Yeah, I mean, that's I've seen Sephardic that do, eggs for everybody, too. But yeah.
At the end of the festival of Passover, which is the 8th day or 7 days by Reform Jews or Jews in Israel, Moroccan and Turkish Sephardic Jews worldwide have a celebration called Mimuna, which is celebrated in their homes. Mimuna is a celebration of freedom, community values, togetherness, friendship. It's a demonstration of great hospitality. It is also a celebration of the renewal of spring and fertility. On the eve of Mimuna, family members and friends and cousins visit each other's homes, going from house to house. There's a certain order to these visits. On their way home from the synagogue services, Mimuna celebrants will visit the rabbis first, the Hazan, the cantor second, their parents, friends, neighbors, in that order.
It's kind of like the habit of sukkah hopping, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Some believe that Mimuna represents a symbolic new beginning of freedom from slavery, and so sweets are set out on the table with a white tablecloth decorated with flowers and wheat sheaves, which is the centerpiece of Mimuna Day. And the sense of Mimuna being a new beginning, eating these sweets symbolizes a sweet year. Originally, the central event of Mimuna used to be the baking of the first leavened bread after Passover. The yeast of the bread was considered a symbol of Israel, and so great care was taken to ensure that it arose properly. While dough was being prepared, songs were sung in hopes that the rising bread would be a good omen. Some communities kept and poured wine from the cup of Elijah over the yeast. As mentioned, the festive table on the central point of Mimuna celebration and contains is decorated with many symbolic foods and items respectively. Symbolic foods of Mimona include milk or buttermilk, white candies, and flour that symbolizes purity,
Hmm.
eggs, meat pods that symbolize fertility, dates and preserves that symbolize a sweet yield. Other symbolic foods include butter, honey, fruits, candies, cake made with yeast, plain yeast, coin-shaped chocolate, and nuts. Fresh raw fish and various other greens are also present, and all above are mentioned as a symbolic food and symbolizes good luck. Wine is also present on the table, which is decorated with flowers and stalks of wheat. Sweet Moroccan mint tea is also served. The table sheets may contain gold-wrapped chocolate coins to symbolize one meanings of Mimona, prosperity and riches. Mimona is also the time when popular parava confection called zabane is made. Parava means neutral. In Hebrew, it refers to a food that has no dairy or meat in it. Zabane is made with sugar, whipped eggs whites, and beaten until thick consistency is achieved. The goal is to reach a consistency that resembles caramel. There may be peanuts or chopped walnuts added to the mixture for variety. Once prepared, zabani is poured into a bowl and eaten with a spoon. Chocolate-covered apricots are another popular candy, a famous dish called mufaleta, a thin, round, fragrant pancake-like food that is rolled up similar to a type of like a French crepe. It's served hot. It contains butter and honey. Stuffed dates are also popular. Pita bread would be dipped in honey and butter to symbolize the togetherness of the family. Nimona is celebrated with great vigor in Israel, where the families gather at picnics and parks and on beaches to eat, drink, sing, and dance. There's also a custom that courting and matchmaking are performed on that day, on Nimona. And so after eating, many men and women meet and mingle in the streets in order to meet an ideal mate on Mimuna.
Okay,
Wow.
well, actually, we're a little past our halfway point. Let's go ahead and take our break. I'm going to mute you for about 6 here, Rabbi, and just hang with us here. Okay, so we're going to take our break now, and we will be back in 6. So stay tuned.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
It's intermission time, folks, so hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies, everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now. The show starts in 5 minutes. The show starts in 4 minutes.
Well, they can't hear them.
I've got maybe another 10 minutes. Finish with the custom.
The show starts in 3 minutes. The show starts in 2 minutes. The show starts in 1 minute. And now, on with the show.
And we are back, just as promised, or as threatened, depending on your point of view. We are talking tonight with Rabbi Ancel, and we're talking about Pesach, and we're going over Sephardic traditions and minhag, and then in the next show we'll talk about the Ashkenazi. So let me bring Rabbi Ancel back on. I'll turn his mic on. And that's that. And you're back on.
Okay, we left out that in that evening of Mimuna is ideal for people to find their mates.
Yes.
But the custom was the parents were there and they had their watchful eyes on them. There's another custom that parents of an engaged couple would do is invite them over to eat mufaleta and grilled fish. Jews who lived on the coastal areas of Morocco would customarily go to the seashore early in the morning of the first day of Passover and dip their bare feet in the water and wash their hands to symbolize the Hebrews' journey through the Yam Suf, which in Hebrew means the Sea of Reeds, which is possibly, nobody really knows, the Red Sea, or an arm of the Red Sea, or another body of water in the Sinai Peninsula, the Gulf of Suez, or the large delta at the mouth of the Nile River in the northern Egypt, which took place on the final day of the first Passover. People who lived inland would go to rivers, wells, springs, or spring holes to reenact the miraculous journey to the Sea of Reeds. These people would pour water over their hands and feet, and even on the threshold of their houses to symbolize the Hebrew journey through the Sea of Reeds. Once this ritual was done, people would then go to an outdoor setting where they would set up tents and picnics, complete with music, laughter, singing, and dancing. In the country of Turkey, during Mimwana festivities, Turkish Jews men will throw coins and candy. Both of these items are symbols of wealth and food that the Jewish people brought with them when they left Egypt. And grass, a symbol of the Sea of Reeds, which is possibly the Red Sea, like I said. The origins and the meaning of Mimwana is not definite. Another alternate spelling of Mimwana is Maimuna or Mimuna, which either they all mean wealth or good fortune. In Arabic, the word Mimuna means Maimon, which is a reference to the father of Maimonides. Maimonides was born Moses ben Maimon, Hebrew meaning Moses of the son of Maimon, or Maimun. In Cordoba, Spain, who lived from 1135 to 1204, he was a famous Jewish rabbinical scholar, philosopher, and physician who first lived in Spain, then in Cairo, Egypt. Mimona was said to have originated in Fez, Morocco, in honor of Maimonides' father who lived and died. Mimona honors the death date of Maimonides' father, since Maimonides' father died on the final day of Passover, and in the Jewish tradition, death is seen as a reunion of man with his creator. A celebration is held on the anniversary of the death. To avoid having both the Passover celebration and the anniversary celebration of the death of Maimonides' father on the same day, the anniversary celebration of Maimonides' father's death was moved up to the day after the final day of Passover. Mimuna might also mean emuna, which means faith in Hebrew. Faith is the sense that the redemption of the Jewish people will come in the month of Nisan, as it came to pass in the month of Nisan during the exodus of Egypt. Another possibility is that Maimuna derives from the word Mammon in Arabic or Hebrew, which means prosperity or riches. This definition originates from the belief that both one's personal productivity, prosperity, and wealth, as well as the national productivity, prosperity, wealth of one's country, will be determined on the Mimuna day. At the evening synagogue service, people greet each other, wishing each other tarba, which means success in Hebrew, as well as reciting to each other the special Mimuna blessing. Alala Mimuna, Ambarka Masuda, and drink. Mahia, a honey-based drink. Excuse me. After the evening service, there are customary visits to the rabbi's house, same thing to the husband, the cantor, followed by the house of one's parents, friends, neighbors. Laughter and jokes with much music and rejoicing characterize the Mimuna evening well into the night. Post-Passover celebration, Sephardic Turkish Jews have a celebration custom after the post-Passover festival. The father or the grandfather of the household throws coins, candy, and grass for the children to collect. Grass symbolizes the reeds of the Sea of Reeds, which is possibly the Red Sea again. Israelites or Hebrews are brought out of Egypt at the same time. This ritual represents a wish that the coming year should be green, productive. Persian or Iranian Jews have a post-Passover celebration called Shabbesal, which is similar to the Moroccan Mimuna in terms of having a festival complete with sweets, except that it takes place in the home of the eldest member of the family. Visitors to the oldest member of the home bring sweets to add to the festivity. To symbolize the conclusion of Passover, family members and the eldest members of the household prepare foods made with dairy products because kosher for Passover milk and milk products are not available in Iran. Following this event, Iranian Jews have a tea drinking ceremony in which tea is served with dates rather than sugar, because sugar for Passover sugar is also not available in Iran. The following day, Persian Jews go out picnic in a grassy area shaded from the sun. Persian Jews adopted this picnicking custom called Ruz Esal that predates Islam and Persia. Pre-Passover customs, Bedika Hametz, the search for the leavened bread, and the evening of the day before Passover, the head of the household searches for leavening, carrying a lit candle with only one wick. He also holds a knife which he uses to chop all nooks and crevices in the household for any traces of chametz or leaven. He also carries a bowl containing a piece of bread in it, and usually adds a little salt in the bowl.
Yep, I think we lost him. We'll see if he comes back in. I know he's having a rainstorm out where he is, so we can probably blame it on the weather. So while we're waiting here, let's check the chat room. Let's see. Yeah, Colleen says Ladino also in South America. Let's see. And Donald says Ladino is not the same in Mexico either. Yeah, let's see. And Olga says something about Ladino, and I'm not going to try and massacre Spanish like I have a tendency to do with French. So Marilyn says you're making me hungry. Yeah, no kidding. With reference to the tea, says orange pico. So you're back.
What happened?
I don't know. You disappeared.
Wow.
But you're back
I have no
now.
idea where I left off. But mainly, it's basically all the traditions. Mimuna is the last one.
Right.
So these are the Sephardic traditions worldwide, depending where they live, what city they live in, what community, what city, and what household they live in.
So let me ask you a question. So you are Ashkenazi.
Yes.
But you live in a region that is primarily Sephardic.
Correct.
Okay, so when you do your Seder, how much of a mix do you actually do in your Seder?
Since I live in a Sephardic, basically country, I follow Sephardic rules, traditions. If I go back to city I come from Toronto, I follow the Ashkenazi suit. I would offend the people that came to my Seder, and I would use the Ashkenazi traditions, and they are Sephardim.
Isn't that Halakha says that you follow the minhag of the area, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Israelis living here in the Dominican that actually will follow Shabbos, the time for Shabbos, according to Israel, not according to Dominican. Because sometimes I see them driving a car on Shabbos and they say, well, Shabbos is not anymore in Israel.
Uh-huh. So
Well,
they don't do the extra day?
no,
No?
but halachically they should follow the time of in the place they're in,
Right.
but they don't. So there are so many, like I said, there are so many customs and traditions that it's hard. Like I said, I follow both the Ashkenazi and Sephardi, depending where I am. Here in the Dominican Republic, I follow the Ashkenazi traditions. I would say probably 95%.
Uh-huh.
I make my own haroset my own different way. So it's a couple of different things. I don't beat anybody. So,
You should try it.
but I'm afraid some people may like it.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
kidding.
you know what they say. Beat a man with a whip and he likes the whip, he's just making a fool out of you.
Yeah. It's, but in all, whether it's an Ashkenazi, which we're going to go through next week, or Sephardi, there are such beautiful traditions. I wish I could go to every area where Sephardim live and to go through their traditions and just to watch. It would be, you could write a book.
Oh yeah. Easily.
I mean, go to Iran or Morocco or even Israel, Turkey, go to some of the new Russian countries like Uzbekistan and
Hmm.
Kazakhstan.
Oh, that's true. That the Uzbek robe, the halpan,
Yeah,
that is in the Uzbek region. That is usually what the leader of the the Pesach Seder actually wears.
correct.
And you got a very beautiful one.
So this next summer coming, I'm gonna wear it.
Did
It's a little bit heavy for here, but
did it
hey,
arrive?
I'm sorry.
Did it arrive?
It's beautiful, but it's got a lining that makes it, weigh
Yeah.
like almost a half a ton.
Yeah,
You make sure, well, for you
it's
would be good because you live in a cold country.
it's
Like
still a
today
lot
was
it's
almost,
still a
today
lot
was
lighter
almost,
than mine.
yeah, like today was almost 30 degrees Celsius, and it's February. The poor people in Texas are freezing and dying. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The chapan that I have probably weighs 3 times what that one that you have weighs.
wow.
Yeah, it is extremely heavy because there is a lot of gold embroidery on it. I think anybody who's been here during the festivals and stuff has seen me wear it. It's beautiful and it is extremely hot when you get into the Pesach Seder. There's another
And
tradition in the um, Spanish and Portugal when they light the festive lights
yeah,
for Pesach.
I can just imagine you after the fourth cup of wine.
Oh man. Yeah, after that I just sit in my recliner and just kind of smile and and melt. But
Steam coming out of.
yeah, there's also a tradition between the Spanish and Portuguese Jews that they light 7 lights for Pesach.
We do have the extra cup of wine. So my grandfather used to send me or my brother to open the door, so we let him in. So I said, well, we don't see him. So he's sneaky. He would put his hand underneath the table and shook it a little bit, and then the wine in the glass would move. He said, "You see, he's here."
Yeah, what we used to do when we would have a lot of kids around, and we would do that. We would do the koseliaku,
Yeah.
and we would get somebody who would distract them, and then I would take a little bit of I would drink a little bit of the wine out of the cup, And then
That's a good idea.
yeah, and then they would look, oh, it's gone down, and and then pretty soon they're distracted again. You take a little more wine out, and see, Elijah was here.
Wait a second. But now you're having Kos Hamishi. Now you're having the fifth cup.
Only if you drink it all.
Yeah. Any questions from the beautiful people that are listening?
Let's see. We were just going through that while we were waiting for you to come back. Let's see. There was okay. Colleen says I have 3 antique Sephardic cookbooks from Gilio. Incredible Pesach recipes pre-World War II, before the Italian Jewish community was destroyed.
Wow.
Let's see.
Sephardi they serve fish. Wow.
Yeah, there's a number of comments in here about gefilte fish.
That's what I was going to say. You serve fish. Ashkenazis, I remember my grandmother making the gefilte fish.
Yeah. I love the gefilte fish.
I love gefilte fish.
My father absolutely abhorred it.
Oh my God, I could eat them by the ton because she used to put lots of pepper on it, and she used to put a cooked slice of carrot on it, and it was delicious. Oh my God. That and smoked salmon, is my weakness.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, my father always.
Gefilte fish. Do you know how she used to make for the soup? She used to make from eggs. She used to make the noodles. She used to make. She used to cook the liquid, and she used to make. They were flat like pancakes, and she would roll it, and she would slice it thin, and she would serve it because Pesach evening we had soup instead of other kinds of soup. It was just chicken soup, and then we had meat, never lamb. I have never eaten lamb in my life because I've never seen it. So you see, there was traditions. There was a lot of meat where I was born. There was lamb, but my parents never ate it.
Oh. And yeah, my father loved salmon, but would absolutely would not touch gefilte fish for any reason.
But you know what's in the gefilte fish?
Pardon?
Do you know how they're made from what?
Well, it's white fish. It's actually isn't it a combination of fish?
White fish and carp.
White fish and carp, yeah.
But you have to know how to clean and how to do the carp, because
right.
Carp is a bottom feeder.
Yes, yes it is.
Although it's kosher because it has what do you call it?
A mud vein.
Yeah, but what my grandmother used to do is, but a month before, she used to bring 1 or 2 dishes down from the Passover dishes, and they would go and buy the carp, buy the whitefish, fresh, alive, and they would prepare it and they would freeze it in a special bag. That bag is again, so it doesn't get any. Well, it was in the freezer, so it wouldn't get any comments. And the more the carp stayed frozen, the more that bottom feet smell of fish would come out. And then she would make it, they were just as sweet as honey.
Well, you know how to tell whether they're kosher for Passover, don't you?
I'm sorry?
So you know how to tell whether the fish is kosher for Passover, don't you?
No.
Oh yeah, when they're bringing them up, they train them to balance that carrot on the top of their head.
That's good.
Oh, let's see what we got in the chat room. My husband wants to know why we can't use wasabi for horseradish. My answer has always been to find me a kosher recipe.
For wasabi?
Wasabi, yeah. Why couldn't they use wasabi instead of horseradish? Now wasabi.
There's some ingredients.
I
You
said
know what?
wasabi is a
I
bean,
can
right?
look it up and get the exact ingredients. Right now, I couldn't tell you. But I've never heard wasabi is for sushi mainly, but I have never seen or heard anybody using wasabi instead of.
No, neither have I. It probably has to do because I think wasabi is actually made from a bean, which would be kitniot, right?
It is made from a bean, yeah,
Yeah.
but if you're Sephardic, you can use it.
Yeah,
But I don't know
true.
what the other ingredients are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I have to look into that to
I'll check
see.
it out, and we'll talk about it next show. Next show should be interesting with the Ashkenazi.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have for this evening.
Well, we're about at the end of our time anyway, so why don't you hang on and I'll close us out here and I'll get back with you as soon as
Okay.
we're off. Okay,
Thank
I
you for
want to thank
listening,
everybody
and
for
have a
being
good
here
evening,
this
and have a
evening,
good week.
especially Rabbi Ancel, and hope you found it interesting. Those of you who've been with me for a while know how much I put into Pesach and how I always beat it when we're going through the Sefer Shemot and we're reading it and how much they say, remember this, so you can tell it during the Pesach Seder. So don't forget on Wednesday night is the Torah study in depth with yours truly. We are still in the Sefer Shemot, which we will probably be in there for a while.
If anybody
Thursday night,
wants
excuse me,
what
Thursday night at 8
what
p.m.
I've
we'll
said
be
tonight,
doing
if
Ma'ariv
anybody wants a
and
copy of
the
this,
Megillat
I can send
Esther
it to
reading
them.
for Purim. And then on Friday morning will be Shachrit, and again the Megillat Esther reading. And then Friday night is the Kabbalat and Ma'ariv, the Shabbat service, and then Shabbat morning at 10 a.m. all times Eastern is Shachrit and Musaf. So thank
I
you
don't
all
know
for
if
being
anybody
here. I
heard
hope you
me,
return
but if you want
again
a
to be with
copy
us again.
of
And
what of
until the
these
next
Sephardic
time, we
traditions, I
will
can email it
simply
to them
say,
complete.
Laila Tov.
Sorry?